Ethiopia has a very long and extensive history as a Christian nation. Some even claim that the fabled Ark of the Covenant is housed within its borders. But many people don't know that Ethiopia was in a bitter struggle to remain a Christian nation in the 16th century. And one man, for a brief time, successfully managed to impose Islam on large portions of the country. What up, African world? It's Home Team here, and welcome back to another video of African history, culture, and worldview. By supporting this channel on Patreon, you're helping in the creation of these videos and supporting this content. If you'd like access to full courses and sources, or you simply want to show your support, you may do so by clicking the Patreon link in the description box below. During the 16th century, Ethiopia was nearly split between Christians and Muslims, but in general, Christianity was the predominant religion and so embedded in the culture of Ethiopia that they were hard to ignore in the face of the rest of Christendom. Despite Ethiopia being cut off from the rest of the Mediterranean world with Muslims to their north and east. During the 14th and 15th centuries, Egyptian Muslims had destroyed the neighboring Christian states in the Nile Valley. For centuries after the Muslim conquest, Ethiopia's only connection with the larger Christian world was through Egypt's Coptic Church. Occasionally, Ethiopian pilgrims would travel to the Holy Land. Ethiopian monks from Jerusalem attended the Council of Florence in 1441 at the Pope's invitation. The Pope wanted to reunite the Eastern and Western churches. Westerners learned about Ethiopia through the monks and pilgrims, and they became attracted to it for two main reasons. First, many believe Ethiopia was a long-sought land of the legendary Christian priest-king of the East called Prester John. Second, the West viewed Ethiopia as a potentially valuable ally in the struggle against the Islamic forces that continued to threaten southern Europe. This early contact with the rest of the Christian world turned out to be the most valuable thing the Ethiopian Christians could have done. If this didn't happen, Ethiopia would have probably been a Muslim country today. Even though they weren't unified, the Muslim states continued to pose a threat to Christian Ethiopia, and by the late 14th century, descendants of a ruling family moved east to the area around Harar. They re-established the old Muslim Sultanate of Adal, which had become the most powerful Muslim stronghold in the Horn of Africa. It controlled the important trading routes from the Ethiopian highlands all the way to Somalia. This posed a very dangerous threat to Ethiopia's commerce and to Christian control of the entire country. Christian Ethiopia had been unable to gain control over Muslim states to the east, but they were still able to successfully ward off Muslim incursions through the 14th and most of the 15th centuries. That all came to an end, however, when arguably one of the greatest Muslim rulers of the Horn came on the scene in the 16th century. A young Muslim soldier named Ahmed ibn Abraham Al-Ghazi soon won a large following due to his military prowess. In short time, he became the ruler of the Adal Sultanate and became one of its most prominent religious leaders as well. Al-Ghazi found the rule of secular Muslims and Christian kings repulsive. In the countryside, he preached about the virtues of the Islamic State and called himself the Imam. He rallied an ethnically diverse set of Muslims composed of Somalis, Turks, Ethiopians, and Egyptians. His jihad was advanced with the sole purpose of crushing Christian power and installing Islam all across Ethiopia. His followers called him the Lord of Conquest, also known as Al-Ghazi, because of his conquests all throughout Ethiopia. In 1525, Al-Ghazi led his first expedition against a Christian army. Over the next 2 or 3 years, he continued to attack Ethiopian territories, burning churches and taking prisoners. It was at the Battle of Shimbrakuri that Al-Ghazi broke the back of the Christian resistance. The Ethiopian emperor at the time, Lebna Dengel, was no longer able to effectively exercise Christian control over Ethiopia. He later died isolated in a mountain fortress in 1540, and the entire Christian kingdom fell to the Muslims. Ethiopian records tell us that 9 out of every 10 Christians were forced to convert to Islam, and all churches were looted and burned to the ground. The Ethiopian Christians were absolutely desperate for aid, and they looked toward Europe for help. Europe's early familiarity with Christian Ethiopians and their desire to limit Muslim expansion was key in their willingness to send military support. Small quarrels within Al-Ghazi's troops weakened morale and unity, and in 1540, the Portuguese answered the desperate call of the Christians. The new Christian ruler, Galapagos of Ethiopia, was undignified as he wandered around his own country like a refugee. He wanted more than anything to destroy the Muslims. Unfortunately, the combined Ethiopian Portuguese Christian forces were annihilated, and the Portuguese leader, Christopher da Gama, was beheaded by Al-Ghazi himself. But the Portuguese and the Ethiopian Christians came back and regrouped, and at the Battle of Zantara stole a victory from the Muslims, killing Al-Ghazi himself. After the death of Al-Ghazi, the Muslim forces in the Horn were never the same again, and their power slowly dwindled. The conquest and dominance of the Muslims under Al-Ghazi was undoubtedly the most traumatic event in Ethiopian history, as they still remember it even today. For the Ethiopians, Al-Ghazi certainly left his mark. In Ethiopia, the damage which Ahmad Gragan did has never been forgotten. Every Christian Highlander still hears tales of Gragan in his childhood. Even Haile Selassie mentions Al-Ghazi in his own memoirs. I have often had villagers in northern Ethiopia point out sites of towns, forts, churches, and monasteries destroyed by Gragan, as if these catastrophes had occurred only yesterday. Well, I'm all out, guys. If you like these videos and want to help in its continued production, consider supporting the home team on patreon.com. The link is in the description box below. Know thyself. Remember your ancestors. Peace.